Okay, welcome to video number 5. We concluded the last video by asking you the question at the bottom by having you go to the Department of Justice Canada and look up what conditions and exceptions existed for the age of consent in Canada. Hopefully what you arrived at is that a person can be having sex at a younger age than 16, provided the person they're having sex with is not younger than them by more than 2 years. And if you're doing the math in your head, what that should tell you is that there could be people having sex in your community legally at an age of 12 years old, as long as the person they're having sex with is not older than 14. And hopefully you also came to the conclusion that none of that applies. Again, something we've already emphasized, nothing to do with consent can offset what we learned about people in authority. So it doesn't matter if a person is 37 years old, if they are a client or former client of ours or a person that we have had a role of authority over, we cannot have a sexual relationship. The law uses the term abuse usually instead of the term child abuse, but we typically do mean child abuse. And there are two pieces of legislation we're particularly going to look at in this course. The first is called the Child, Family and Community Service Act. It's a British Columbia statute. A statute is simply the written law. It's literally a piece of paper that stipulates what's legal and what's not legal. And the Child, Family and Community Service Act only applies to children, people 18 and younger. So once you're 19 in BC, you're considered an adult. But the Criminal Code of Canada is also going to matter to us. It applies to everybody in Canada, and it applies to all ages. Some forms of abuse, such as verbal abuse that you direct at an adult, might be considered legal, but not ethical. In other words, if I am working with an individual with an intellectual disability and he is, let's say, 25 years old, and I call him a name that is emotionally degrading, there is no law that says you cannot do that. That would be illegal if I did it to a child. It would be illegal if I threatened that adult, for example, threatened them with violence. But it would also be a significant ethical concern even if it wasn't against the law. And you'll see how we deal with that a little later on. So not everything we do that might be considered unethical is considered illegal. The Child, Family and Community Service Act, the BC legislation, gives 4 different types of abuse. Those are physical, sexual, emotional, and neglect. Please, after you finish this video, search that particular act and look up section 13 to see the definitions, write them down, and be prepared to put them in your journal and to discuss them.